elephants coming in here, though.
Yeah, that would be a surprise, that's for sure.
Yeah, that would be indeed a surprise. But I guess for the moment, we're just going to have to appreciate that there's not a deli on this map. Now, this is a difficult mini-map to digest. Take a look at this. It is just... There's so much going on this mini-map. Now, this is something I've actually brought up with the devs. I've said, look, the mini-map is kind of a bit crazy. There are so many things happening on there. I've got no way to tell what's really going on. It's just a whole bundle of little dots. I don't know how you feel about it, Lidakor.
I have mixed feelings. The first thing I'm noticing is that the marks are actually smaller than we had in the previous games. It might just be me being biased or the map being a little too stacked, but could it be possible that they launched an 8-player size here instead of a 6-player size? Those town center marks just seem so tiny.
Good question. I don't know. It does seem like it's a really big generation, the map, doesn't it? But I think this is kind of like the normal 3v3 size map, right? Like, the reason why the pit seems a smaller map is because you kind of spawn on... instead of spawning in the corners, you spawn along the edges of the map. And also, you spawn out quite a bit from the edge of the map. So, I don't know, but you might be right. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it'll just go ahead. We're not going to take that risk. There's no way to actually know what the size was either for the map.
But while we're at it, let's take a look at how Dark Age is going out there, because we do have an Ottoman player, State. I don't think he went for military school so far, but we're going to have to double check on that. Lenok did open with a barracks. On the other side, Blade, Give You Anxiety, and Snoopa. I don't see any moves coming out from Give You Anxiety, so no tower rush out there. Snoopa likely just playing standard Dark Age as well, so does Blight. So no major surprises so far.
All right. Well, for anybody having trouble with the civilizations, it's very easy to make sense of it. You've got the dark colors and the light colors. Yep. We've got red, orange, yellow on one side, and teal, green, and blue on the other. Makes it very easy to follow the direction of the games here. Not a whole lot of mishmash of the colors. The warm versus the cold. GUA going to be on the Mongols here, looking to put on some early pressure. He's got the Holy Roman Empire that he spawned closest to. Any sign of an outpost going up? Nothing yet.
Yeah, but he's going to have a bit of a momentum here, and he's going very heavy on the spears. I would think he now needs to almost commit to a tower, because he's investing into 7 spearmen you can see at the top left. So he needs to get something out of this, and just burning down the mining camp should be insufficient.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. But at the same time, even going with the outpost, what do you obtain? What do you gain from it? Because on a team game map, it makes it much easier to just move to the backside and know that you're going to be safe. Know that you're going to be protected.
Or move to the teammate. Looks like there's going to be no tower, instead just a 4 spearman commitment. Give You Anxiety is up to 10 spearmen, and looks like his sole role in this game is just to take out the opponent's pocket state. He's just fully focusing on a pocket player, even fighting underneath the town center out there. It's a bit of a miss micro, but he still has 7 spearmen to work with after losing all 3 of those.
Meanwhile, we've got Snooper and Blade. Take a look what civilizations we've got out here for them. Of course, it's the Holy Roman Empire and the Malians. So expect to see some very sneaky, seductive slinging happening down on that south side of the map. And of course, we see the Saharan Trade Network coming through as well. When it comes to trading posts, over on the west side of the map, there's a trading post directly on that backside. Saharan Trade Network, far away from it all, though.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice and protected back here, actually.
Give You Anxiety is committing an insane amount of energy to harass State over here. So I think the game plan seems clear. You look at the civilizations for Sorov, State, and Lenok. Sorov is playing HRE, likely will play Fast Castle. Takes a couple of minutes until that comes online. Then you have Lenok. He's English, especially after opening with Man-at-Arms. He's also going to be a little slow to come online. He's going to have a slow-moving army. And then you try to slow down State as much as possible. So for the next couple of minutes, you don't expect to have a cavalry component from Lenok's army because of that. And that's part of the reason why they should be happy with what they accomplished from Give You Anxiety, allowing Snoopa and Blade to do essentially whatever they want.
And what they want down the bottom of the map is to typically make cow babies and eat all of them. We do see there's a couple of sheep at the moment being eaten underneath the Archon. Any sign yet of a mill being dropped for our Malian player, or not yet?
I guess it depends on how much sheep Blade was able to acquire. Although, if that's the plan, yeah, there it is. There's the mill. If this is the plan, then he just gives all the sheep, possibly to give you anxiety, so GUA can sustain that Spearman flood for a long time, and he's gonna be the last to reach Feudal Age, with the bush slowly disappearing.
We can see he doesn't have a lot of sheep left. Instead, coming out over onto the shorefish. Obviously, as the Mongols, got that gur that you can move around and take advantage of all the little ponds that dot this map. Save yourself some time on those pastures. Of course, pastures quite expensive, 150 wood for each one.
Indeed. And remember that at the beginning, you don't have a strong eco, so whenever you're committing to like 7, 8, 10 spearmen, you really can't afford a lot of pastures. So having extra sheep to work with is definitely a blessing.
All right, well, it is going to be the Burgrave coming up the south side of the map. I'm curious, does Snooper look to go for the same thing? What is he going to do here? What's his response? What has he got in queue at the moment? Snooper, our yellow player, has got 2 javelins in queue at the moment. He's just going to have to chill out for the moment. Are we able to see... Yeah, so his resources, it kind of looks like he's going to castle. Or are we spectating somebody different? Are we able to ride on board with Snooper and just see how many resources he's got?
Yeah, top left is gonna tell us. Snooper... Whoa. No one's close to castle, near. Actually.
I think we've already got an age up in queue from... there we go, Blade 55555.
Yeah, he's up already, in fact. That's a lightning fast castle, and this is why I said this could be a pretty good synergy of strategies here, because you already have Blade up to castle age, beating Sword Off, and then State was essentially taken out of the game. That's big barbecue, ladies and gents. A little oversaturated for my taste.
Just a little bit too much. Too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the broth, don't they? We see once again the lack of gold coming in from Snooper, and it's interesting to see the reason why we've got a lack of gold for Snooper is because of the longbowman, and that lack of gold means a lack of cows, and a lack of cows mean a lack of villager work time. It all leads into it.
Yeah, it's annoying because the entire idea behind this strategy was just kind of momentum and having a slight kind of basing advantage. Now he's gonna get raided, although the matter might be picked off by the tower. That's a gigantic loss for State.
You never want to be losing the meta, because now all of a sudden he's going to be moving around the map a lot slower because of that absence of the meta. But the Burgrave now coming through for sort of as well. So both of our Holy Roman Empire players looking to reach the castle age at the same time. Keep in mind, Snooper, on the south side, has access to the Musafati Warrior, which is going to deal very effectively with the men-at-arms if sort of chooses to go to that direction, which it definitely seems like he may be.
Yeah, and that's a big difference between the two teams. Musafati Warriors being available for Snooper, so he's going to be fine staying in Feudal Age for quite a while. Also setting up the walls. Now, one thing I'm unsure about is how much that trade or future trade got spotted, because the infrastructure is set up for a trade for Snooper, but we didn't see a lot of traders so far.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. We may not actually see trade for quite some time. I think they're going to need to establish some sort of foothold until they can get a decent amount of control over this base. Trade is going to be a thing that they're not too worried about. But we do hear relics now starting to get picked up. He's got 2 prelates out for the moment. Longbowman going to be forced back. Men-at-arm numbers looking solid. Javelin throwers coming in over from the east side. Snooper looking pretty decent. But now a little bit of a counter raid on the north side. GUA coming in. Looking to try and hit any villagers he can find.
Yeah, action all over the map over here. Kind of just small, disjointed armies skirmishing against each other so far. Nothing very cohesive, but we are reaching that stage. If you look at the men-at-arms numbers now for Sword Off, it's up to 13. And now it's going to be supported by some archers from the Ottoman player. Give You Anxiety delayed this quite a bit, but now Ottomans are now coming online. So GUA is going to have to put something on the playing field as well. And he's going to do so in the form of horsemen.
Yeah, an interesting decision to go horsemen. It makes sense up against the English. Obviously, they want to be making as many archers as possible, so horsemen always going to be effective. But still, it is... not being Castle Age definitely hurts for GUA. There's a lot of value he gets from it. The men-at-arm numbers for sort of starting to look pretty solid here. He's sitting on 14 at the moment. Compare that over to his enemy, who's on 18 men-at-arms. These are slow-moving units, though. Look at this natural wall that GUA's got. Mongol's not known for their ability to wall. We take a look at that natural wall that GUA's got on that north side. Where does it even stop? There it goes. He's got one section of the wall here, a little bit of a break, and then a second section over here that just goes on forever.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Although, it's not gonna help against men-at-arms just rushing in between the two sections, and all he has is horsemen. Those men-at-arms also have 200 weapons, so they will fare pretty well against those horsemen, and you gotta be cautious here. He may need to pull the stables back.
And look at the surrounds coming through. GUA gonna try and cut him off, and does indeed do it. Men-at-arms coming in from the south side. It's gonna be a clean-up on this position. Absolutely destroyed right there, sort of. Trying to make his way through the pack, but unfortunately just getting eaten alive by the men-at-arms.
Yeah, nice timing. Although the trades are rather even, so sort of doesn't have to be super disappointed in this. And you see, Blade is trying his best to give a good pursuit, but realistically, most of those men-at-arms get out of there. And, well, you did have some losses for Sodov. On the other side, GOA also lost the horseman, so this isn't as bad for Sodov as it initially looked.
I think that it's super important to maintain a big mass when you're playing as the Holy Roman Empire. And now, Sordov is on 16 men-at-arms compared to Blade, who's on 32. He's got double the amount of units. So even though GUA lost horsemen, I feel like horsemen are expendable. Whereas your men-at-arms, you really want to try and maintain that mass.
Yeah, indeed, that's a good point. And now, men-at-arms diving in here for Blade. Reinforcing is much easier here for Sordov, though, and he's mixing in some Landsknecht there. So you gotta be careful about those stacked up units. Although that one Landsknecht isn't going to change the world, but once you have it, supported by front line of men-at-arms, could easily swing this battle back in the favor of Sordov.
Yeah, we can see right now, he's got a single Landsknecht in there, gonna begin swinging, gonna begin winning. This two-handed axeman, or two-handed Landsknecht do so much work, able to turn the tide of battle, and as you correctly identified, this is what makes it so powerful. But the men-at-arms numbers are still looking really solid for Blade, maintaining a superior number. And look at the rallying units across the map. Numbers upon just huge amounts coming across here, rallying towards this north side. They are putting all the pressure on Sordov. Lidakor needs to help. State needs to help. Get it together, guys.
I love the full horseman commitment from Give You Anxiety here. He's realizing that Castle Age wouldn't give immediate benefits for him. Instead, they can just use those men-at-arms to tank damage, and behind this one, the horsemen are cleaning up the villagers. They wouldn't survive long in the range of that town center, but when the men-at-arms are soaking up the damage, you can just use those horsemen to rampage the eco of Sordov, and that's exactly what he did. Sordov now, very much strained economy. He has taken a massive beating.
Behind this, we're still yet to see trade added in. We did see Snooper is added in a market. He's also going to the Castle Age, going up with the Farimba garrison. He's got a lot of bonuses to his economy. Trade yet to be one of them. Snooper now reaching the Castle Age. Horseman cleaning up the longbowmen on the backside. A couple of men-at-arms in there. Going to be able to break away a couple of horsemen. But still the numbers looking solid for GUA. 3 horsemen sieging down a house. He needs to pull these units away. Men-at-arms on the front line. A lack of Landsknecht is really going to hurt on the defensive here. Sort of needs to get more Landsknecht out. But just not having a whole lot of luck here. And you can see the power coming through from Blade right now. Sort of. He's got no men-at-arms at all, a single Landsknecht, and 34 men-at-arms for Blade. So as we identified a little bit earlier, even though he lost a lot of horsemen GUA, his horsemen were expendable. And now we see the reality that that is indeed the case. Blade overwhelming this game with his men-at-arms.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we didn't necessarily see coming. It's also the fact that GOA is doing a really good job just flooding horsemen. I thought he's gonna sacrifice the horseman, then he won't have that much army, maybe go to castle, but no. Despite losing the horseman, he was able to replenish that really fast, and as you said, at the end of the day, the overall composition was now better for GUA and Blade, and this combo of non-stop men-at-arms and non-stop feudal age horsemen from GUA is dominating the battlefield right now. Even a chop through now for javelin throwers. They are all over the place right now, and it's starting to show on the playing field. 80 army against 25. Biggest thing, sort of not having any army on the field anymore. He has taken way too much damage.
Yeah, they did a great job in identifying that they need to put the pressure on, sort of. A lot of people would have avoided going to the base of the Holy Roman Empire player just because pushing towards the Burgrave, they're going to be pumping out Landsknechts at point blank. But we do see Janissaries popping out right there. I think that might be Janissary Company that came in. He only gets 4 Janissaries, so it's not a huge amount. Definitely feels a bit underwhelming for State to be going for that kind of investment. I'm assuming he has gone with the MIA as well, the Mehmed Imperial Armory, which means that he's going to be very limited in the late game about the way that he goes with his Vizier points.
Yeah, indeed. But at this point, it's all about survival. He just needed every single man that he can get on the playing field. First, Mangonel getting close, but look at this. The bottom left tells you how the eco of sort of looks like. A moment ago, he didn't have a single villager working. Well, I assume it's sort of because he's the only player that is supposed to be like completely dead, and I think we're right about that. His eco is a train wreck. He's at 26 population, and he can't defend himself, but teammates also can't really lend a helping hand because they now have to defend themselves.
Yeah, it's really tough. He's got 15 villagers bundled up in that town center. Unable to work. Everything else is idle. He's got literally no villagers working at the moment. It's not looking good for sort of. That is for sure in this game. Now, keep in mind, at this point, the NA and their Kangaroo are down in this series. This is obviously the second game coming in right now, which means that this is potentially the equalizer. The game that takes us to break point, or to match point, rather. This could be it. The decider.
Could easily be it, and it could also be the debut of Jousting Fields, one of the new maps made for this tournament. So, yeah, we were very close to seeing that game happen, but for that, Blade's team first has to finish this off. They are on a good trajectory, though. Now GOA is going to be up to Castle Agent. There is one thing that we kind of overlooked behind this one. It's the fact that Snoopa went with the trade network. So, given that they are the aggressors for the last 5 to 10 minutes, Snoopa could start thinking about setting up trade, because who's going to harass them?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It could definitely work. Obviously, the Malians trade, the strongest trade in the game. Probably the strongest boom in the game as well. Just when it comes to pure speed. Malians, an incredibly strong trading civ. But over on the other side of the map, never count out the Ottomans. These guys can put together an army quicker than you can say abracadabra.
Abracadabra. Where is the army?
Right there. It's a big army. I mean, when you've got 4 military schools and the Mehmed Imperial Armory pumping out units non-stop, it's insane how much they can field.
That's true.
If we take a look at his base, I think he's on 3 TC as well. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I saw a 3rd TC getting dropped.
Yeah, I think he's on 3. They have to play 2 versus 3 right now. Yeah, there it is. 3rd town center.
Lidakor dropping a keep in the base as well of State. Just making sure that he's okay. So these guys are looking to stay in this game. Basically, it's the classic case of the 2v3. The only issue is sort of needs to pick up and he needs to move on. He's got to leave that base behind. That is gone. He can keep the vills in the town center, but they're just going to be idle for the rest of the game. Needs to leave it. Come find refuge over in the right-hand corner of this map, the eastern corner of this map, and begin building a new home for himself.
I mean, he has every single villager of his idle. He can't even leave the town center. I think he can't migrate because every single villager he has is non-stop garrison. Now, it's very important for Blade's team not to overcommit to Sorov. He's dead. He's not going to contribute anything in the next 10 minutes. But if you commit too much to just trying to finish him off even more so, you give a lot of time and freedom for Lidakor and State. So they have to switch focus, like they're doing right now, to the south, and start trading the other 2 actually meaningful players.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a smart move for them. Javelin throwers, a solid amount, but he should be able to move out with the single mangonel and take out all of these javelin. The number here looking really good. It's bugging out that mangonel. I'm not sure what's going on right there. There might be a villager blocking it or something. But it was trying to get through. It just wasn't having any luck. And massive men-at-arm raid now on the other side of the map. Blade deciding it's time to go. But now into the base of Lidakor instead. Mangonel shot. A little bit short of those javelin throwers.
This is painful for Lidakor. He had to pull everything he had to the north to hold off this push. He didn't seem to expect that push coming from the south, though, and now his eco is getting destroyed. And don't forget, there's no way that State can hold off 1 versus 3 over here. 2 versus 3, maybe, but when Lidakor is taking too much damage, you have to start asking questions, and you see his eco is now a train wreck.
Yeah, the villager count really starting to dwindle. 40 villager difference between these two teams. Military count still quite even, but it feels like the team, well, it feels like Lidakor sort of and State are on their last legs. Even though at the moment the numbers don't look terrible, it's not. It's deceiving though.
Yeah, it for sure is. I think it's about sustainability. You had that standing army built over the last few minutes for Lidakor's team, but it's about being able to replace those lost units with the feeble eco that now you have. Whereas on the other side, you have a stronger economy, so replenishing those losses is a much easier thing to do. I would still love to see a little bit more activity from GUA on Lidakor State, instead of just trying to beat the crap out of Sorov's dead body. I don't know, I feel like GUA, he would be better put to use raiding either State or Lidakor.
Can we take a look inside the base of Sorov? Has he got everything working now?
Yes.
Oh my lord. Take a look at that. We got plenty of pastures in the base of GUA. All right, well, everyone looks like they're back to work now in the base of Sorov. He's looking to get walls back up on the front side. Outposts up for a little bit of safety. So he is rebuilding.
Yeah, it looks like an NPC village from a campaign, not gonna lie.
It really does, doesn't it? Villager count, it's 50 different at the moment, which seems like a lot, but in the scheme of things, it's not really, not considering the state of the game. My main concern, though, is that Snooper's trading. And that it's only going to be a matter of time until that trade becomes a very big issue. Crossbow numbers, though, for State looking good. He's going to be able to clean up men-at-arms easily. It's not even going to be a contest.
Yeah, that's a nice combo. He's got the Sipais, he's got the crossbows as well, but yeah, this is the big thing. And I think he just now started trading, so this is going to take 1 or 2 more minutes to kick in. But when it does, suddenly we are going to see a massive swing, and behind this, new TCs are being added by GUA as well. So it's, as I said, not about surviving right now. It's about how do you live to see minute 30, minute 35 in this game. You are still defending, and at this point, well, you may even know that your opponent is trading, you can't really do much against it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I'd love to see more walls coming up from Snooper on this south side, just to make sure, just to guarantee the integrity of that trade route. He wants to make sure that these Sparky don't get any ideas about going in behind the trade line, that sort of thing. How many traders is he up to? Can we have a look how serious this trade is? Maybe we'll go in and check with the market on the bottom side of the map from the perspective of Snooper. There we go. We can see he is up to 24 traders already. Oh my lord! Look at the amount of traders we've got right there.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You can do 2 things here. You can just go all in and try to snowball the game with full army commitment, or you can try to say, okay, I'm not sure if we can close this game out in the next few minutes, but we have a massive lead. Just make sure that we build on this lead and make it even larger, and that's exactly what Snooper does. They have enough momentum to keep the fights in the enemy base, even if they don't fully commit to army production, so they can afford to invest into stuff like traders or a second town center for Give You Anxiety, and just pull ahead even more so. So, as you said, while the eco numbers are relatively close, it's only a discrepancy of 30, it's misleading because the overall resource income is substantially higher for Blade's team.
Did we just see a green trader? I swear I just saw a trader in the... I think I saw a trader in the base of State, belonging to sort of. I might be crazy though. Oh no, it's the trade superhighway, or at least it was the trade superhighway. Now Lidakor going to be doing trade of his own. It is a green trader. Look at that. The Holy Roman Empire is neither holy nor Roman nor an empire, but it is a trade monstrosity. That is for sure.
We could see some stealth shenanigans over here from the Musafati warriors. Looks like things are stabilizing, but once again, we talked about this. It's about replacing those lost units. And now if you look at the army numbers, 150, almost 150 versus 66. That's the big thing here. Lidakor and State are now starting to struggle from the fact that they lost so much eco-wise that they're struggling to match the numbers that they are seeing on the battlefield from the opponents.
Yeah, that is exactly it. It is getting more and more difficult to replace these units. And you can see State now coming over to the other side of the map. I talked about this just 2 or 3 minutes ago. I said, you need to make sure that Snooper walls up so that his enemy doesn't get any ideas. The Spahi in particular, powerful once they get behind enemy lines because of fortitude. And he's running straight towards that south corner. GUA going to give chase. More than enough lances here. Spahi under the town center get cleaned up, but down further we do see more raids coming in. Toll outpost gets thrown down from the west of the map. Not a whole lot of action. Ooh, that is a big army right there. That is a big army now beginning to push through. Imperial Age going to be coming in for Snooper. Pushing together the men-at-arms, Javelin. Mangonel's looking to try and get a decent shot in from the top rope. But it hits only men-at-arms and only a handful. Things not looking good right now, Lidakor.
Yeah, they aren't. As I said, it's the sustainability being the big question, and now you unlock the full potential of that trade. Replenishing this army is going to be much, much more difficult for Lennox team, especially because keep in mind that they are essentially fighting 2 versus 3 right now, and while they are holding this, we've been overlooking the fact that GUA has a massive cavalry build-up, 30 horsemen, 20 lancers, about to hit the playing field down south.
Yeah, and have a look. So many crossbows up here. Those lancers are going to eat them alive. They're running in. Now, right now. Oh, jeez. I mean, crossbows obviously counter lancers, but actually, it's hard for me to tell the difference between Mongol horsemen and lancers.
It's mostly horsemen.
I can see. Yeah, it's mostly horsemen, isn't it? Yeah. A couple of men-at-arms mixed in as well, but he's going to get a beautiful surround here. Snooper now going to start helping out his allies as well. A little bit of a donation, a little bit of a tribute over to GUA and Blade. Now the numbers really looking solid, but the defense holding on for the moment. Musafadi heading in all directions. Javelin throwers as well. Trying to find villagers. Anything at all he'll take.
Yeah, Musafadi warriors, they're fragile, so I'm not sure if that's the best unit that you can have to fight under these town centers, but for the time being, he's going to stick with them. You see, they're getting decimated by the longbows, though.
Yeah, that's a big problem, the longbows. He's just kind of doing a bit of a run-by, though, at the moment. I think he's accidentally right-clicked them rather than attack moving, and they're just running through a gauntlet of longbow damage, being blocked in by the men-at-arms, but Blade now reaches the Imperial Age as well on the Holy Rebel Empire. I suspect we've probably got a Palace of Swabia somewhere. How many traders are we up to from Snooper on Snooper's side? Let's go down and check in.
Yeah, just look at the left side of the map. It's one straight yellow line.
60 to 70? Yeah, 62. 62 traders coming in now for Snooper.
Wait a second.
That's probably a gold per minute of 5k at least.
I wonder, it's a little difficult to see the numbers in the top left, but is that 34 Musafadi warriors or 134? Because at this stage...
34.
At this stage, you could argue that you could just live off from the trade income and you don't even need villagers just to place them with army.
Yes, yes. I think that's definitely the right thing to do because the efficiency for Malian traders is so great that they're actually more efficient than a villager will ever be. So I think I can double check the exact numbers, but it works out that even on a 1v1 map, going wall to wall or going to edge, a Malian trader is as efficient as about 2.5 normal villagers. And obviously on a 3-player map, that is just extended out even greater. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've got an efficiency of probably closer to maybe 4.5, 5 villagers, which it's a waste of space if you're going to be making villagers.
Yeah, for the time being, he does have space, so he doesn't have to delete anything. But look at that big clash in the middle. Finally, all armies on the playing field. Mangonel, that could be the difference maker. You gotta be careful. Those Musafadi warriors still rather easy to pick off, but kind of an indecisive fight, if you ask me. For the time being, Lennox team is repelling the assaults, but this feels just like a temporary defense, temporary hold.
It definitely does, yes. The elite units, once they're all in and ready to roll, it's going to be really tough to hold on to this. You can see that Snooper just kind of continues to fall back at the moment. He's got so many resources coming in, but just doesn't really have the production to support it. He could be maxing out. We can see him, look at him sending away 2,900 gold over to Blade 55555.
Yeah, no.
That is a huge amount of gold. He's literally sending gold mines.
for sure. On the other side, we do have trade as well, but it's up against the Malian trade. The big question is how fast can sort of come back online, and we might actually be getting some answers over here, because would you look at that? He's up to 24 man-at-arms, 22 Landsknechte, still just Castle Age, but you have to start thinking about sort of once again, and the Landsknechte, they can easily cut into that eco deficit in a blink of an eye, so you gotta be cautious, although these guys in the middle getting easily cleaned up by the Lancers.
Yeah, Lance is doing a great job here. Taking out both the Landsknecht and the men-at-arms. Beautiful little surround there. And now these units move on towards their next target, their next goal. The villager count looking pretty solid, even now, for our Eastern team. They've managed to make their way back up, considering they were down 50 villagers at one point in this game. But keep in mind, those villager numbers for Snooper are deceptive. While he might have 62 traders, they've got the equivalent value of 200 villagers. That's what makes them so strong in these team games. The larger the maps get, the more efficient they become.
Army numbers still massively in the favor of Blade's team. That's the concern. That's the thing that they have to bridge through at this point. Sort of is stabilizing. He's on the way to Imperial, and a comeback feels more realistic than ever before. But they still need to weather the storm for at least 5 or 6 more minutes until sort of really comes back online and until State possibly gets to Imperial.
But how do you ever beat out the Malian trade? That's the thing that I don't get. It's like, how do you possibly beat Malian trade? It's established and it's making so many more resources than what you're making. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about, and he is absolutely a Giga Chat.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? You just need to find a way to finish the game fast, but that's not the way that things are heading towards, because look at that. Just really a color from every element of the rainbow inside the base of Lidakor. Now, men-at-arms overrunning him, and look at that. GUA, he does have the looting bonus on those farms. He's going around, burning down all those farms, getting 70 food, 75 food, and 75 gold apiece for those. Tremendous damage is done to Lidakor, and once again, they are going to be at the stage where they have to recover, and as you said, the longer the game goes, the better it is for Malians.
Snooper up to 14,000 gold at the moment. There's been a wolf attacking his traders on the trading post in the west of the map for the last 15 minutes, and I can't believe it hasn't been picked up yet. But it's one of those frustrating things. At least it frustrates me immensely. Got a certain thing for wolves, but sort of now reaching the Imperial Age, joining the rest of the world up here. State also going to be going up. GUA is going to be the last player to age up, but of course playing the Mongols. He's happy just making lances all day. He's not too fussed about getting up to the next stage.
Yeah, these men-at-arms will be cleaned up, but make no mistake, these are sacrificial units. You just do as much damage to the opponent's trade as much as possible, and it's actually more effective to kill the markets than to kill the traders. Although if you are all trading to the neutral trading post, it's better to kill the traders. But at this point, many of those trading to the actual trading posts, you can take those down and just completely cripple the trade of the opponent. Indeed, cleanup comes in very nicely, but this means that everything had to be pulled back all the way here. So you look at the front line, and you're going to see Blade's team dominating, I would think.
Yeah, Landsknechts connecting on that south side. Now, one of the things to note is that with this attack coming through and Blade hitting the eastern corner, he's drawn all of the forces of the enemy up towards this corner, which means that now all of a sudden there's an opening on the front line. It might not be an opening that exists at the moment. Maybe there's a stone wall in its way, but there is a lack of units protecting it, and that is an opening in my book.
Once again, cavalry raids intensifying over here. GUA will have to find a way to Imperial, and he does so right now. But as long as there are breaches on the walls, GUA can do a lot of damage. He's the only player with cavalry components on the field, so he can just keep doing what he does right now, keep running circles around the enemy base and just stretch out the defenses.
So we're yet to see a nail coming through for this coffin. The coffin has been well and truly built by Blade, GUA, and Snooper. They've maintained a lead throughout this game, but as we enter the 35th minute, the question begs, how do you finish this game off? You're giving your enemy the runaround. GUA is famous for it. But still, we're yet to see the finishing touches come out just yet.
Yes, and don't forget, we're talking about English late game economy, so you can partly cut into that lower gold income that you would have for the team with the English farms. Still, Malian economy should prevail, but English late game is no pushover either, so you gotta be cautious here. It looks like now the answer from Snoop's team is just gonna be heavy artillery, something that has been missing for so long, something that they need to destroy all these production buildings.
Yeah, he's going to be pushing forward now. A lot of Sofa here, looking to try and protect this. Spahi going to be moving out. Springwood in placement on this outpost. Finally going to be finished. And the numbers looking really solid on this attack. Remember, all of the forces are going to be coming in from the east side, the right side of our screen. That's where all the armies were when they were dealing with it last. But the bombard's firing off. I'm having a little bit of sound issues. I don't know if you're getting that as well, Lidakor. My sound's getting in and out. How about you?
Seems good to me, so we're gonna have to see that after this game, but yeah, momentum is now massive over there, and the bombards, they're really the difference maker, and the Qualifier is on the back line sniping down any siege, so Mangonels here from State, basically a non-factor. They're being picked off immediately by the Qualifiers, and then just have Sofas, just have some Landsnichters, some men-at-arms, and then they're just enough to protect the bombards, so the bombards can steamroll the base.
Yeah, they're doing wonderfully at the moment. Working through the production slowly. Now going to begin focusing on the town centers. More and more production coming in. Sofas making their way through. A very solid push here. Finally, we get to see a push with a huge amount of siege behind it. This could have been the nail. This could be the nail in the coffin. We talked about it before. How do you finish this game off? And siege is definitely a big component to finishing a game like this.
Yeah, indeed. Looks like longbows are finally arriving over here. Mangonel getting some good volleys on them. Even flaming arrows take a lot of time to deal with that. And look at that. Double Mangonels, actually.
It's a wonderful way to deal with those longbowmen.
Yes, it is.
Double Mangonels mean that, well, it's going to be a very quick death for the longbowmen. Let's just put it that way.
Even with the staggered formation, they're just getting decimated, and Lidakor doesn't seem to be looking even. And now, State is the one that's just getting his base completely devastated. He has the eco still behind this. Problem is that he lost the infrastructure. No production buildings. He can't turn resources into army anymore. Has to even pull the villagers to deal with the siege.
Yeah, immediately moves away though, realizing it's probably not the right decision. At the moment, we've got double military pop coming out now for Blade's team. GUA and Snoop are contributing massively to that. But at the same time, Snoop's economy is just out of control. His gold per minute at the moment, probably pushing 7k, something ridiculous. Over on the west side of the map, yeah, there you go, 6k gold a minute. Over on the west side of that map, the wolf continues. Look at this, still going. Look at him go. Warwick just biting everybody that walks past. This guy has been going, I'm not kidding you, this guy's been going now for more than 20 minutes.
And I don't think he killed a single trader, so...
Little
as
guy,
active
poor
as
little
he
guy.
was.
He never achieved anything, the poor guy. But this definitely seems like it could be the nail in the coffin here.
Yes.
This push, incredibly solid. The bombards remain alive. And that's what's going to be enabling them to finish this game faster. I wouldn't be surprised if we have tap-outs coming through shortly, but the villager count hasn't fallen. Still within 15 villages of each other.
Yeah, the
Traders
front line
established.
is broken, though. That's the big thing. That now it's non-stop flood into the economies. Sure thing the ecos are stable, but the army counts aren't looking good. The Ottoman player is able to contribute next to nothing, and look at the army for Surov. Most of that is just spearmen. They would just die to the men-at-arms here at this base. In fact, not a single player from Lidakor's team has a substantial army. Best army is what Lidakor has. Handful of hand cannoneers and longbowmen. On the other side, 60 plus men-at-arms, almost 40 sofas, a lot of bombards from all players. I just feel like Lidakor's time is running out of time to stop this death ball before destroying everything in their path.
Yeah, I got to agree. With the bombard numbers this high as well, it's gonna be a very solid steamroll.
It's not just
So
here.
we talked about it.
Look at the far
Yeah, go
left. We ignore the far
yeah.
left, but there is a GUA push, and look at that. That's part of the reason why they're actually progressing slower in the middle, quote unquote, because GUA is going to open a new front line over here, and there's absolutely nothing that sort of has to stop this with.
Yeah, he's got a couple of spearmen, a few Lange Connect in the base, but nowhere near going to be enough for this. Needs to make sure he's paying attention though with the Lancers. Wants to avoid sieging down those lumber camps. But look at the bombard numbers now coming out for Snooper. He's got so much gold, he can just really throw it all away. Sitting on about, what is he sitting on? About 45 villages, 50 villages at the moment. Not a huge amount.
Probably something along those lines. And GOA, for every single building he destroys, he's gonna get paid in bounty. So it's actually crazy how much he could get when it comes to resources from these bombards in the next few minutes.
Yeah, speaking of bombards over on the other side, you can see Snooper actually losing that keep. The Treb's going to be able to fire on it from the south side, but there's so many bloody units here. Good luck keeping those alive for a little bit longer. Treb's getting eaten alive. Oh, we got the Seagate Castle coming in. I didn't even see this. So State going for the Seagate Castle, looking to try and buff up the movement speed of his traders on the backside. Yeah, I wonder if he's gone for trade bags as well. Can we check on the trader? It should be 328 on the trader, or around 328 I think is a full map trade. So anything higher than that, and he'll have 100% trade bags. It's 307 for sort of. Let's check in.
Yeah, 327.
So no trade bags. Just sticking with the no trade bag option.
I think he's too busy dealing with anything else here at this point. Just horseman raids, never ending, still difficult to clean up. And now we're getting very close to a potential GG, because if the team of Lidakor gets cut in the half, it's over. They won't be able to join forces, their trade is going to be cut to half, and from that point on, it's going to be a snowball out of control. If this edge of the map falls over here, it's end of story for them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The keep is trying to come up. Blade doing his best to get a keep up on the backside. If this keep goes up, almost certainly not a single trader makes it through alive ever again. At the same time, Snooper putting a keep down. So much production just being pumped into this base. Sort of Lidakor and State trying to hold on as best they can. But it looks unlikely that it goes any longer. We're at the 42-minute mark. I'd be surprised if we hit 45 at the way these guys are playing at the moment.
Indeed, it's unlikely at this point. Look at the army numbers. Minimal army on the field for Lidakor. Some standing force for State here, mostly Janissaries, but they need something that stops the push into the base of Sorov. And then something that cleans this up, otherwise their trade is cut in half. And we talk about this a lot. You lose your trade, you're guaranteed to lose the game, because from this point on, their eco is a train wreck.
And then we see now there's a potential landmark snipe, or landmark victory that's coming online. 6 out of 12 at the moment, which means 6 to go. Everyone's in Imperial as well, so that means that there's no extra sneaky landmarks that you're going to be putting around somewhere. Everyone's got their landmarks. And look how many bombards we've got out from Snooper now. He's up to 6 bombards.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just going to head south. They realize that State has taken a lot of damage. They could head north towards Sorov, but instead they're just going to let GUA deal with that problem and go south, try to knock out Lidakor. Lidakor's team is fighting relentlessly here. That's something that we definitely have to credit them for. They are not giving up, but they're not getting any closer to victory. They are surviving, but not thriving.
They're down 100 villages difference now, also 100 military pop, so some big differences when it comes to the numbers here, but the bombards do manage to stay alive. There was a lot of elite knights from the Ottomans looking to try and take out those bombards. But State does finally surrender. Lidakor surrenders, and Good Game is going to get called just shy of the 45-minute mark.
What a game this was. Really a slugfest. And at the end of the day, I'm curious at that Malian gold income, because you said this before. The big problem is the Malians on that one side. Lidakor, Sorov, and State managed to recover. They managed to stabilize, but they just couldn't match up against the Malian trade, even with the Ottoman and HRE trade going on the other side. I think this game easily could have come down to 2 things. I think, first of all, resource income, so overall gold especially. But the bigger thing is momentum. The initial momentum was on the side of Blade's team, and they were always fighting from an advantageous position, ultimately never letting this slip out of their grasp.
Yeah, I think for me, the big thing was, 100% on that. Not addressing that man-at-arm timing attack as well. Obviously, sort of looked to try and match it, but as we identified, the horsemen were able to cut that off, and it never went well from there. We'll take a look now at the statistics. I want to see exactly how much gold was picked up here, but I think it's probably gonna be more than 100,000 gold, surely, after witnessing that.